Okay. Hi. So my name is Christine, and this is the Tarot Grove channel. It's all about tarot decks and sustainability and queerness and how we can use tarot to envision different kind of radical futures. Today I'm joined by our first guest in the Grove Tarot interview series, Ayshe-Mira Yashin. She's a London-based artist and illustrator and the creator of the Earth Mother Magic Tarot, which is an ecofeminist rhizo deck for queer women and femme people. Hi, welcome, Ayshe-Mira.
Hi. So nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
So yeah, as I said, this will be the very first in the Grove interview series. So my idea was to kind of set some sort of context for the interview. So we'll be in like an imaginary clearing in the woods, sitting on a couple of logs, drinking a mug of something hot, you know, in the nice kind of sunshine, surrounded by trees. And the idea is that it's just something very like nature-based and rooted, and takes us somewhere else. Since we can't actually be together in person, sitting in a patch of trees.
Amazing. I'm envisioning it now.
So the first question is just a little intro question. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I studied illustration at Camberwell College of Arts and I just graduated. And
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I grew up mostly in Cyprus, which is where I'm from. And yeah, my connection to like spirituality comes also from my like ancestral kind of rituals. And yeah, and I guess one of my most like major projects is this tarot deck, which this interview is kind of about. And I made it in 2022. So it was the summer before I started my studies in my BA at Camberwell. Um, yeah, and my practice is mostly just like illustration, but I do a lot of printmaking and I also work a lot with like ecological materials. And I'm like deeply inspired by like different like eco-feminist artists, but we can talk more about that later. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a couple of questions on that front. Um, so yeah, so maybe you could say a little bit more about like how you came to, well, probably both your like your art form and also to tarot, like and then how they came together.
Yeah. So I guess like since I was like a teenager, I was really into like zines and like illustrated books and different things that combine like text and image or like use narratives. And like illustration, like I guess most people associate it as just meaning drawing, but actually after having studied it, I feel like a lot of it's about like narratives and storytelling. And I think there's so much of that in tarot. So that's why it's one of my favorite, I guess, things in general, just one of my favorite things. Um, and tarot, I was introduced to tarot, I guess, because it's kind of like a funny way to put it, but my mom has a lot of lesbian friends, and I'm a lesbian. So when I was like a teenager, I was lucky to have like kind of older lesbians around me, and they were all doing tarot all the time. And then I was like,
Gorgeous.
clearly, this is like as like a young lesbian, like this is like what I need to like really learn about and like engage with. Since
Aspirational goals for sure.
yeah, I guess, I mean, many people are into tarot, but I do think it's part of lesbian culture to be into tarot. So yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So I've been doing
Um,
it since then, since I was 16, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Um, Yeah, that seems so amazing. Like I always have this little envy for people who have come to tarot so early on. Like it took me until I was probably around 30 um to like open up to and start connecting with tarot. And it's always like beautiful to hear people who have these like really deep roots stories, like where they've been introduced to the cards as like kids or teenagers, and just the way I really like what you said about storytelling. Like I think it's why it's also so potent when people are introduced as like when they're young to tarot, because it really captures your imagination, like the images and the like symbology and the way that like it speaks to something very deep, I think, inside of us that yeah, it's very very magical and engaging.
Yeah, definitely.
So a little bit of a like left field question, um, which is that if somebody was going to write just like as a part of, I guess, this interview, I want to kind of get to know you a little bit, get to know your artwork and the tarot deck. And so, yeah, if someone was going to write like an epic poem or a play or a musical or something about your life, what genre do you think it would be? And like, what would you want that person to know about you? Like, what would be a really important thing for them to know in order to write this like epic piece of literature or film?
Okay, well, since the theme is tarot, I guess it could be like a tarot card description in like a book.
Very
So
nice.
you know what? Those are pretty good, and like there's
Oh,
many different ways you can do it. Um, I guess that's a pretty maybe the answer should have been more like an article or a poem, but yeah, I mean tarot. I love tarot books. Um, and what they would say about me, I guess maybe that I'm a stereotypical Taurus. Because I love wearing brown and I love like earth and trees and that kind of thing. And I think that's just like what comes out in my art and also yeah, in every aspect, like my personality. Like I feel like I'm a pretty like grounded person in some ways. But yeah. And yeah, in terms of my art, obviously everything I draw and make is brown, and I just feel really deeply connected to the color brown and like using like natural materials because they're also tend to be brown. And my tarot deck is also like printed onto brown card paper. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, which is beautiful.
Thank you.
What are the like if clearly like working with the color brown over such a prolonged period, like you must have very deep associations with the color. Do you want to speak a little bit more about that and like what it evokes for you?
Yeah, I guess like I don't know if there was like a day where I decided I was just going to use brown. I think when I was like doing art A level, I kept using brown and I think I thought like I had this idea that by the time I've done art school, I'm going to be working in full color, but I just kind of don't. And I realized that that's actually fine. Now I realize. I mean, I do work with a wider range of browns now than I used to.
Branching out.
Branching out, yeah. Now I work with a wider color palette of different kinds of brown. Um, Different associations, like yeah, obviously as I was saying, like trees and earth. And yeah, I grew up in Cyprus. There's a lot of the like architecture, like a lot of the buildings are made of this kind of yellowy brown stone. I actually don't know what it's called in English, but like Nicosia has these like walls that are shaped like a kind of oh, there's like a reference here. Like these walls, this is like a postcard I got from Nicosia, are like surround the city that I'm from. And it's kind of like a light brown color. Um, and yeah, I guess growing up somewhere where like the landmark of the city was this color, maybe that's part of it. Obviously, there's many other colors as well in like every place, but I guess some things just like stay with you. And yeah, it's kind of I'm a pretty like obsessive person, so brown is like every aspect of my life. Like everything in my room is brown, my clothes are brown, my hair's already brown, but I would never dye it. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. It feels really, yeah, like a very deep connection with the color that's not just like I'm hearing there's a like a real nature rooting there, and also something about your like history and your ancestry being in a place where that color is very like symbolic and in the architecture, like literally in the physical
Yeah,
like matter of the place that you grew up. Yeah, really beautiful.
thank you.
So yeah, okay. What I guess the like a nice thing to give people a sense of like your artistic processes. What creatively inspires you, and what's the like stuff that you use to kind of feed and fuel your artistic process, particularly in making the Earth Mother Magic Tarot, but also like more generally because your art, like for anybody who doesn't know Ayshe-Mira's artwork, you should definitely go and check it out because it's absolutely like captivating and yeah, it's just it's so beautiful, it's so detailed, it's so earthy, and
Thank
yeah.
you.
So
That
I mean,
means
I'm like very very curious just from a personal perspective about like yeah what inspires that and what feeds that process for you.
thank you so much. I guess I'll speak first about the Earth Mother Magic Tarot because since making it, I work kind of differently. But when I made it, uh, I guess it was after like by that point like years of doing so much tarot, so I was very inspired just by like my favorite tarot decks. So I guess my favorite tarot deck is the Mother Peace Tarot, which I'm sure you've heard of. But if anyone here doesn't know it, it's like a round tarot deck, and it's all based on like different matriarchal kind of traditions from different parts of the world. And it's very like centered on like women and like goddesses, and the cards are very like creative and quite different to like a traditional tarot deck. And yeah, I guess that inspired me as like a kind of different form of storytelling, or like using the form of tarot and the kind of like 78 card structure to like tell the same stories in like a different way, or like through a different visual language, or like drawing on different traditions. um and also, yeah, more about the process. I guess I'm a pretty like I'm a pretty like obsessive person, and I also plan things out in a pretty like regimented way. Like I sometimes wish I worked more intuitively. Like I have friends who can just like get out a sketchbook and just sketch anything and make quick stuff and do things in a rough way, or like work more intuitively. But for me, I really plan things out. So I literally planned for a whole summer that each day I would do one card.
Mm.
And yeah, and I just drew like one per day, and I kind of for each, I think I had a notebook where I made a list of notes and sketch for each card.
Mm.
And I first made the whole notebook of like, this is what it will be. And then I was like, okay, I just have to do one per day. And then I did it. Um, but yeah, and I guess actually I should say an important part of the process was like from the beginning, um, always like whilst making it, like doing readings with like my friends who are all like women and queer people. Like I don't really have any friends who are like cis men, or like very few. But yeah, my friends are mostly all like women and like queer people.
Mm.
And I knew from the start that like I wanted the deck to be something that could like work in like my community, or like our communities. Because I feel like we kind of need different ways to like have discussions about our lives, and like be together, and like be in community, and like think about like the different like struggles we face as like queer people and like women, or like people from different like marginalized backgrounds, I guess. And yeah, so even when I was like still drawing the cards, even with the original drawings, I was doing readings like whoever I was with. um and yeah, I guess I'd already kind of tested it before, because when I was doing my art A levels, I'd made a major arcana only like tiny tarot deck for my like A level, one of my final projects, which is still on my Etsy, which I'd obviously I don't really like it anymore, because it's like it's been 5 years, but it's still up because apparently some people still like it. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry, I didn't really talk about more recent, but
yeah,
I,
go ahead.
okay, well, my recent work is like very different to like what I was doing 3 years ago. Like I still I still like stand by like the tarot deck and like the way I did it, but since then, like obviously like with the genocide happening in Gaza, and like there's so many like urgent things that I feel like as artists we need to like really engage with and tap in. And even though something like tarot and like stuff that's more like focused on like queer and feminist politics, like it can and should be intertwined, but the past year especially, I feel like my practice has been trying to focus more on like urgent stuff, and like using the skills I have like kind of as an illustrator to like use visual storytelling to like kind of increase people's awareness about uh like what's happening basically. So I've been doing a lot of work that's about like the British military bases in Cyprus and how they're being used in the Gaza genocide. And I recently like did some on-site research and did sketches there. And my recent
Oh,
work has been
wow.
all about that. And I guess the way it overlaps with, because it feels like a big jump, but the way it overlaps with the tarot is that I also do a lot of like ecofeminist art that's to do with militarization. And in between this, like I was doing a lot of like what I consider earth body art, or like trying to make contributions to this genre of earth body art, which was pioneered by Ana Mendieta, who's like an incredible Cuban artist who I would really recommend checking out. She basically makes works that use like the earth but also her body, and a lot of it's about her experience of being an exile from Cuba because of like CIA intervention and stuff like that. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, so I made a lot of works that like combine ecological stuff with like period blood and like, yeah, so yeah, I used to like, not used to, I mean, I still, it's like part of my practice, but I went to like different like militarized or formerly militarized areas in Cyprus, and I would like collect leaves and make things using those leaves, like, and yeah, so I guess it's kind of connected.
Mm. I I think what you're speaking to is um, yeah, incredibly powerful. And again, like a big part of like why I wanted to set up the shop was to collate like a group of artists and creators and their works that um, do engage directly with politics. Like I even think, you know, what you're speaking to in the Earth Mother Magic Tarot about, you know, creating something that is like for the queer community. You know, that's a politically radical act in itself. And um, yeah, I guess one of the questions I was going to ask a little bit later was about um, like why you feel it's so important for artists and maybe tarot as well to be part of the political discussion and like what contribution you feel it makes and can make, like the kind of potential of using art in that way.
Yeah, actually, I think it's interesting to answer this question specifically, like through about tarot, because
Mm.
like tarot kind of claims that, or like, I mean, there isn't like a doctrine or like Bible of tarot, but in general, a lot of tarot practitioners or like tarot books and people in the tarot kind of world view it as like, okay, these 78 cards reflect every possible human experience, and like the 78 cards upright and reversed, if you do a reading, it's meant to be able to tell you like anything a person could possibly go through, anything that could happen is like in these cards. um and obviously, like, okay, maybe that's true because I guess we can interpret the cards in so many different ways, but I think especially if you're like within that, like trying to capture, if not every, you're trying to make something or use a tool that can capture so many experiences, it has to be something that can actually engage with the actual world and things that are happening and not be in like a kind of bubble, because I'm really against like this view of spirituality as like just separate kind of realm, as if we're just
Yeah,
like escaping and like, yeah, so I
spiritual bypass.
exactly, I like I'm actually really interested to hear like your thoughts about this, like as someone who's also in these kinds of worlds and communities, because personally, like, I'm also coming to a place where I'm being really conscious about the spaces that I want to go as a tarot reader, because I also do
Yeah.
readings with my own deck at like events in London and have been doing that throughout being a student. But I'm now being really intentional about what I say yes to and what I say no to, because unfortunately, I have been in some spaces where I'm like, okay, I really don't stand with this. Um, but sorry, I don't know if I lost track of the original question, but yeah, basically, I think with tarot, it's important to make spiritual and tarot art that is also tapped into the actual like world. So like an Instagram account and like kind of, I guess it's more like graphic design typography that really inspires me in this kind of area is like, it's like at Atma Atma. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I think she's Lebanese Armenian and she's an astrologer, and her astrology and like she does these posts that are like quite based in astrology and very spiritual, but it is tapped into like literally the news and like what's happening now. And that's something that really inspires me because I feel like it is connected and we shouldn't just like separate it. So yeah, I think it's really harmful to create something spiritual that's claiming to be like escapism. Like I think it's actively harmful for illustrators, designers, artists to create escapism during a time when there's a genocide. Like I don't think we can create something that's like, here you go, people should escape into this, or we can just have like abstract discussions or discuss our lives as if we're like not part of the ecosystem of what's happening, or just like tap out. Like I personally wouldn't want to contribute to like giving people entertainment or giving people a way to tap out.
Mm.
But yeah, and I think that applies to like also other art forms, especially like illustration and things that include like storytelling. Like if we have the tools and skills to like tell stories visually, why wouldn't we use that to talk about like the stories that need to be told right now?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I really appreciate what you're sharing, and I am very much on the same wavelength. Like in my own like outside of tarot life, I'm training as a counselor in transpersonal counseling, and there's like kind of like I guess a bit of a split where there's like some types of transpersonal counseling that are very much like spiritual bypass. It's all about like making, there's a sense of like healing as a make yourself feel better kind of approach. It's like, let's get rid of the anxiety, let's like transcend, go above, like escape, I guess, in a way. But the school that I'm at is yeah, like very much rooted in like, yeah, going down into the muck and facing like the reality of the world that we're living in, and like using that like healing is really about getting in touch with the difficult and painful parts of your own life and also the world around it. If it means that you become like numb, then that's not really growth or healing. That's like spiritual bypass, and that's disconnecting, and that's escaping. And that might help you as an individual, but it's sure as shit not any good for like humanity as a collective. And actually, I think it disconnects you from your own humanity in a way.
Yeah.
So,
that sounds amazing, though. I'd love to hear more about it. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's great. I feel like very fortunate to have found a school that like aligns so well with yeah, with my ethos. Yeah, thank you. And then maybe like we could expand a little bit on that kind of conversation to think also about how like nature comes into your practice as well, like how you see the kind of care of people and care of planet as being interrelated, because obviously like your deck is very sustainably produced and like it's an eco-feminist deck, so the eco is clearly also at the center of it. So I'm just yeah, curious to know more about how you see the like politics and care for people and humanity as being related also to the way that we interact with and care for and connect with the environment.
Yeah, yeah, I guess obviously the deck really centers like non-human animals and like the land and that kind of thing. I think when I made it, I was obviously younger. Like I made it when I was 19. So I think I also like,
which is incredible, by the way.
Thank you.
Like wild that you'd made that when you were 19.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I was like younger and more naive, so I was like, I think I didn't think about everything as deeply or engage with things as I do now. Like I wasn't as well read and stuff like that. So I think I was kind of like, oh, like it's showing that like, actually no, you know what? It's still valid and important, the stuff I thought then. But it was kind of like trying to focus on like obviously the representation of like women and queer people is like there's like body hair and like scars and like different body types and stuff like that, and I wanted to make it feel like, I guess, like not centered on like a heteronormative or like quote unquote male gaze. Yeah, I didn't want it to be focused on the male gaze, so I guess I was thinking about the deck as kind of like being set in like an alternative space that's like outside of like that existing. So I guess maybe there was like a kind of utopic element, which maybe now I'm like self-critical of. But basically, yeah, it's like all connected. And I feel like we shouldn't approach it as like a separate struggle. But yeah, I feel like also even to do with stuff like militarization, I think is like a really violent form of domination over the land. And that's what a lot of my recent work is about, like trying to find ways to like kind of create work that's like towards liberation of the earth from militarization. Like that's one of my like focuses right now. And yeah, like even recently, because so much of my work has been about militarization and like directly visually representing these like military bases, it's like such a violent form of domination, like surveillance infrastructures and like barbed wires and like all this kind of thing is like really violent towards the earth. So like looking, like I feel like even this interview is like a really nice for me to like look at my tarot deck now and like see this kind of thing of like an alternative vision of society and what the earth could look like without like violence and militarization, which I think is also like important. Sorry, that was like a very all over the place answer.
No. It was great. And it makes me think about like what one of the things that I would love. I'm have been my kind of long-standing work has been as a researcher, looking at like sustainable, just visions of society and the economy. Um, and something that I'm really interested in is how we can use tarot as a way of envisioning different kinds of futures. And so I think like what you're speaking to, and I guess what you initially said was like maybe a naive approach. And then I know you were like, no, it's still valid, and I think that it is so valid because actually what we like we need both things in order to be able to imagine a different future for our planet and for people is both the like really like potent, present, critical artwork that dismantles the current structures, and also we need some kind of map, some kind of way of imagining what the like what an alternative future might be. And what you were saying about the fact that tarot is supposed to capture like all of the different possible experiences that you can have as a person, and clearly it depends on who has created the tarot deck. And so having like a variety of decks from people with different kind of lived experiences, both calling back on like ancestral lineages and wisdoms, but also thinking about alternative futures, I think is like so vital. And I would love to use it as like a research tool at some point to actually get people to sit down with a tarot deck that has this kind of, like yours, and to use those images to really like get into the nitty gritty of like what a different kind of future society might look like. And it's also why I was interested in decks like the Hexam 5.0, which is very much about like imagining different kinds of futures, and Next World Tarot as well.
Oh yeah.
Is another one that will be stocking that is also has this like lens towards it's kind of like seems to sit on the edge of like dystopian utopian future. And I just think it's so vital that we have both the like laser sharp critique, and then also something that like opens towards what might come next.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I think it's also amazing that you're creating a space where like different decks that align with that can be like connected. I'm excited to like check out the decks you mentioned because I hadn't heard of the one you just mentioned. So
is only launching in October, so I've only seen like the images from the website. I've not had my hands on it yet, but looks very, very interesting, and like really also good to sit in this space of like thinking about what different kind of futures we want to imagine with the tarot.
yeah.
So just to switch gears a little bit, maybe we could look at like I will do a walkthrough of the deck and add that also to the channel once I've got my hands on it when I get back to the UK. But I was hoping you might talk a little bit about some of the like departures from the traditional structure, because like I think it's actually a deck that would be really suitable for anybody, like whether they're really experienced with tarot or not, because it does follow like broadly the kind of RWS imagery, but you make some like really key changes both to like the major arcana, things like the like swapping out the emperor and the hierophant and like the kind of I guess traditionally more masculine archetypes, and then also the court cards, which I think are like so brilliant. Like I really love the way that you renamed them. So yeah, I was wondering if you could like chat a little bit about that, and maybe if you've got the deck to hand, you can show a few.
Yeah. So I have the deck. Oh, I should have picked out cards before to show because they're like not in order. Okay, here's some examples. But yeah, so basically as you were saying, the court cards, which are normally like king and queen, are swapped out for drag king and drag queen. Here's like some examples of the kings. But yeah, that's because obviously I'm anti-monarchy, as I'm sure you are also, and I didn't want that to be part of the vision of the world that this tarot deck is creating. So I swapped it out for drag kings and drag queens. And yeah, I tried to be like kind of experimental with it. So as you can see, this drag king has like a kind of binder made of lavender.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I tried to kind of incorporate it into like the like language and symbols of the deck, I guess. Um, Again, like when I made this, I was 19, so I truly don't think much deeper thought went into it than just like I don't like monarchy, which I
I'm
still
here
agree
for it.
with. Also, I do think it's something that like queer people can like connect with more if it like it feels more like for us if it has like stuff from like queer culture, like drag kings and drag queens. But yeah, and then other key changes. Obviously, obviously the lover's card had to be lesbian, so that's like a key
Mm.
change made, of course. This is probably like basic, but it's probably my favorite card from the deck.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you. And again, as I was 19, just a 19-year-old lesbian making this, I did not think through some of these choices as more deeply as like I don't want it to include like kind of cis men or like heteronormative stuff or patriarchal stuff as much, which I think it's like it's still I guess I could have made even more changes like looking back. Um I mean in general there are some things that I would do differently now. Like even the language, like I feel like I've like mentally deconstructed the gender binary more now to when I made this. Like I still
Mm.
I identify as a woman and I love being a woman, but I feel like that there isn't really like like I think I said queer women and femme people, but like now I'm like, what does that mean? Like I feel like I would just make it like queer people and like whoever connects to it. Um, because like yeah, I feel like none of these binaries really like exist or make sense. But it does have quite like femmy, like femme lesbian imagery. So maybe that's what I was like trying to express because I'm like a femme lesbian. So whoever, but also even that is like a kind of constructed notion. Um, but yeah, I guess a lot of the main changes I made were like just making it like super like queer focused. So like I guess these two cards like look like super queer looking people.
Mm.
Um, and I just wanted to feel like if me and my friends do readings, there's people that look like us in it. Um, but yeah, so a lot of, and also like I tried to make cards like I guess a specific focus was like trying to make cards that feel kind of like showing like queer and feminist like joy, which again is maybe a bit like naive or utopic, but I still think it's important. So like
Mm.
these are some parts that feel more like joyful and like yeah.
Joy is not naive at all. Joy is
Thank
like
you. I mean,
resistance,
I
you
think
know?
because of the time we're living in now, like I think, for example, making something like this now, I wouldn't do, but I think I'm happy that I did make it. But yeah, I think it's because right now the work I'm making is way more like directly engaging with like literally like what's happening, like the genocide and like how the UK government is involved. So then looking back at something like this feels a bit like I well, I
Mm.
think it's also these cards do not reflect the current times. The two ones I'm showing, maybe different cards would reflect the current times more. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I guess it also depends on like the context of the reading. My sense is that like in order to continue and in order to be effective activists and to push for change, like we also need things that nourish and sustain us, and joy is one of those things. It like I think is a really important antidote to burnout and um, what might feel like naive in the face of or like not doesn't feel like it lands in the face of the atrocities that are going on, um, can also be important in a quiet moment to refuel and recharge yourself and find some sense of like grounding or connection with your loved ones or your community, or and those cards, I think they don't need to necessarily take away from the like severity or the um, yeah, kind of importance of the other work that you're doing, but rather being something that is like, to me, it feels like a resource and a way of like, helping us continue onwards.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you can like connect with it that way. Like, yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Wonderful. And there was so yeah, you mentioned about like the body shapes in the deck and stuff. Like, was that the like the thinking behind having everybody naked in the deck? Because that was something that I noticed and I loved. I thought it was like really
Yeah,
very
I guess,
raw, vulnerable, and like
yeah, I guess I didn't really used to draw clothes. Like I used to just like, yeah, I guess I just wanted it to be like, I guess it makes it a kind of more like ambiguous and neutral space. Like it's not really set in a particular like time. And because tarot is like used by so many different people, and I guess people from a lot of different countries buy the deck, so I guess it has a bit less like a specific time or cultural connotation than if they had clothes. But also because it's so like based in ecology and nature, it just made more sense for them to be naked. But yeah, and
do
also
you
like
think that? Sorry,
oh,
go
what were
ahead.
you saying? Oh yeah, I was just saying like again, this is like a lot of the kind of like back. I was like a bit more naive then, so I think it was just like more basic stuff. Like I just wanted it to be like feel like natural and like yeah, like also like showing like women and queer people feeling like comfortable in our bodies and stuff like that. But
Yeah. So given that your like perspective has shifted and your like the art form and the style and the approach that you take now is quite different, do you think that you would consider creating, and this is not a like are you announcing a new deck thing, but like would you be interested in making another tarot deck that feels more connected to your current style, or is it like creating the tarot was something that was like over time for you, and now the kind of art that you're doing you feel like wouldn't fit within the tarot structure?
honestly, I would, because I feel like tarot is still part of my practice. So I think with like other past projects other than my tarot deck, some of them are like I did that and then that's done and I moved on. Whereas with my tarot deck, because I continue to give readings with it, and it's probably my most like community-based work that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Maybe other than one other thing, which is like an exhibition I did like collectively called Burned House Horizon, which if anyone's into like queer and like matriarchal and like goddessy art, that was with a lot of artists who do similar work, and it's on Instagram and you can check it out if you're into that. So that's just like a side note. But like other than that, this is my most kind of community-based thing, and for that reason it's something that I always return to way more than some of my other works, which is like I made it, it was exhibited, and then I kind of moved on. Whereas with this, I still feel really connected to tarot as a practice. And I think like I would make another deck, or I would make more like maybe like an oracle deck or something similar. But I think there's I have like too many things lined up for at least the whole like next year or 2 years that are
Yeah.
like different. But I think if I made another one, I would want to use like a different process, like not fine liner drawing, which I still like, but maybe I think it would have to be different. So maybe I would do like printmaking, or maybe I would like try to work more directly with like ecological materials, because I'm trying to like experiment with that more. So yeah. But yeah, I would basically maybe in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds nice. And in terms of the, I think you talked a little bit about how it might be different in terms of the like the style of art that you would use. Like, how do you think it would be different in terms of your, um, like your approach or your drawings of the cards, your way of illustrating them, what
I
the
guess
content, I guess.
yeah. I mean when I made this, I think uh I was like very young and I'd been doing tarot for 3 years. And also I hadn't yet like I had done an art foundation when I made this, but I hadn't yet done my degree. So I think I was like I hadn't as much developed my like what I now think I've more developed my like storytelling kind of skills and like developing like kind of more from scratch like world building and like illustration. A lot of it is like about that.
Yeah.
So I think now I would be more confident to really branch out and like an example I mentioned is the mother piece. Like it's not very similar at all to like the Rider. Oh wait, no, I don't like calling it the Rider Waite. The Pamela Coleman Smith tarot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very similar. Yeah, so I think I would just branch out more and like do something that was quite far because I already have a deck that's like very like a lot of the cards have a similar composition or like similar kind of structures, and I think I would branch out more and maybe I would make it quite like themed or like specific because I really like those tarot decks that are like a really specific theme or a really specific concept. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I would maybe make it like it would still be brown, but maybe include more shades of brown, not just one shade of brown.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, great. Well, I'm, would be super excited whenever, hopefully in the future that comes, because that, like, I mean, I just so adore your approach, your art style, your ethos, your politics. Like,
You too, honestly, you're
yeah,
so
major fangirl.
I'm a fangirl of you too. Like I'm so inspired by like your what you've started. It's like so exciting.
This
Yeah.
is what I love about doing this stuff, is it's just so nice to meet other people who, like, you can like really connect on this kind of level with. So yeah, thank you so much.
Honestly,
And also thank you.
so grateful because like sometimes it feels like everyone I see doing tarot like online or in general is like so like tapped out and like not politically engaged to the point where I had times where I was like I should just stop doing tarot, like I can't do this anymore because like
Yeah.
yeah, but like meeting
Well,
people like you.
I have some recommendations then for
Oh my
I don't know if
gosh,
you've
yeah.
managed to find I've like managed to find my way into a corner of the tarot world that has like there's Cult Mother Tarot, Kelly Bear and Kellyanne Maddox, like all of them, like their channels are like very politically engaged, super vocal about what's going on, like the genocide that's going on in Palestine, and really using their tarot, their channels, their like spiritual practices to like do activism, and
Wow,
it's like
okay.
super inspiring. I can
Sounds
like leave
amazing.
some links.
Please do. I would be like so inspired because yeah, I would just love
Yeah,
to like
I'm just like so pleased to have been able to connect with you.
you too. Oh
So
my
thank
gosh.
you, Ayshe-Mira, and everything that you've said has just been so interesting, and um, I'm like very excited to be able to put this up and for people to get a chance to like hear about your work, and yeah, get to like go and check out all of your channels and your work, and like get informed by it as well, not just like I mean it's visually beautiful, but also like yeah, causes you to stop and think.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Okay, so I did have one last question just to like um, wrap up, which is just like if there's anything about what you're doing next that you want to highlight or flag for people, like the projects that you're working on now, or um, any yeah, like anything that you want to point people towards before we close up.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, this is very different to tarot, but I feel like your audience would also care about this. But so I recently did like an artist residency with a girl zine fair. So yeah, I'm not sure if you heard of it, but they're like a queer feminist like zine archive, and like they also organize like fairs and they support like queer and feminist artists who make zines, and it's really cool because I think zines are like also something I'm really into in my tarot deck, like comes with a zine because yeah, zines are kind of obviously like a way of like publishing and like getting out words that are like outside of like the mainstream and don't rely on like having as much like money or resources.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm working like through kind of their support and some like mentorship I received, and I did some archival research with the zines there, and I'm making a zine about the British military bases in Cyprus. And it also has a collaborative element. So yeah, I'll share this soon, but it's also working with some like researchers and like activist groups from Cyprus. And yeah, it was again, very different to tarot, but it will include like illustrations and prints that are like visually unpacking the bases of sites, because it's very suppressed spaces that it's very, you can't really take photos there, and it's not really reported about in the media. So that's kind of where I'm focusing right now. But yeah, and I still do tarot, and I am hoping to do more like tarot at kind of like queer community events in London in the coming months, because like that's like a separate thing I do. So yeah, I will be
Amazing.
doing those things.
Yeah, and like let me. I would be really curious also to come along to some of those events and stuff.
Thank
So
you.
if there are any that you think like are worth sharing, then drop
Yeah,
a message
thank you
my
so
way.
much. Same to you. I'm so excited to like, if you have any like events, or if you're like doing anything, I will be there. I'm excited.
Sick. Thanks so much, Ayshe-Mira.
Thank
Okay,
you so much.
thanks.